Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Tonia Pyle, your host, with our guest today, Kristine Scribner from Houchin Blood Bank. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without the media helping share our message.
Well, it's a great message you have, and as a matter of fact, I understand you were just starting to tell me that you were involved with last Wednesday, the events in San Bernardino. So tell
That's
me
right.
about last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, we actually had a mobile out at China Lake Naval Base here in Ridgecrest, and everything was going well. We had donors coming in at a steady pace, and we were off to a really good, productive day. At about 1 o'clock, I received a call from my office that we were exporting via CHP a large amount of our O negative and O positive blood supply due to a request from San Bernardino because of the mass shooting. And so we have a relationship with that blood bank. We call them a sister blood bank, where if we're in need, we can call on them to export to us and vice versa. So that was an example of how that happens in an urgent situation where you are receiving multiple victims, whether it be from car accidents or trauma like that, and you can't blood type these victims, so you need O negative. And once you do, it was quickly determined that several of these survivors were in need of O positive. So what happened was I called Public Affairs and asked them if they could please send out an urgent plea via email to the folks out at China Lake to help support our need. They did that, and within 20 minutes, the parking lot was flooded with China Lakers. And it was a hard thing to accept that something so tragic had happened, but my immediate next thought was, thank goodness we're at China Lake, because these people are already civic-minded and out there to help the warfighter, and in a time of need, that's exactly where we wanted to be, was somewhere where people would rise to the occasion. So we ended up, we were on target to collect, 60 to 70 units. We ended up staying an hour late, which made a 14-hour day for our staff, and collected 105 units of blood, registered almost 120, and we had to turn away over 50 people that we just couldn't process due to the logistical limitations. We had 2 buses there, and we had a lot of staff, but there was only so much we could get through. So we just let those people know about our subsequent blood drives coming up to please join us. And I actually asked that anyone who was O positive or O negative to please stay, because that was the blood types we need, and we tried to reschedule other blood types because we knew that what we had sent to San Bernardino was O's. So it was a really good reminder to help us focus on why we do what we do. We get into the mechanics of the process, and it gets to be, to some degree, mechanics and processes and it's work.
Right.
When you have a situation like that, to the staff, to the donors, to the partners like China Lake, they become keenly aware of the reality of why it is we do what we do. And you do it in a quiet and calm manner, but there are times where it is suddenly urgent and dramatic, and that was one of those experiences.
And then you just do your job and do it well.
Yes, you do it well, and you don't skip steps. We had people coming in. They were so kind. They said, I donated only 3 weeks ago. Can I donate again? And we didn't sacrifice any of our process to make sure that we don't compromise the health of a donor to help a patient in need. But it was really sweet to see that level of generosity, that if they could help and we would let them, they would donate early. And so we didn't need to do that. The bottom line was we had an urgent plea. People responded. We were able to generously share what we could. The CHP delivered it for us in 2 hours from our Bakersfield location, and then with the folks that were so willing to come out and help to replenish our supply so that the Kern County patients had what they needed.
Wonderful. Interesting.
It was a good experience, and again, a hard experience, something you don't want to have happen. But I'm glad that we can feel confident that in the event of an emergency, we are well prepared, and the donors are so willing to show up and make sure that the patient's needs are met.
One of the things I like about giving blood is you get to know what your blood type is.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know their blood type.
So true.
And so I want you to tell the significance of being an O negative or an O positive as opposed to a B or an A.
Sure. A lot of that is just that there are statistical, trends. We have the more people are O positive than any other blood type. So that's the most
I'm
common.
O positive.
I am as well, so that's very common. And O negative is special because it is a universal donor. So before a patient is blood typed, we would need to transfuse O negative to them before we could determine what their blood type was and then give them their blood type. So O negative is the only blood type that can be transfused to anyone. And it's relatively rare. It's about 7% of the population. So if you're O negative, we continue to try to reinforce the fact that you are special and unique, and we really need you to donate on a regular basis. O positive is important because it's the most common.
But I thought, oh, excuse me, but O negative also, it had something to do with the little babies.
Well, if you're O neg, that is another layer of special because you're O negative and you're also negative a common virus that many of us may carry, but it doesn't mean that, but it can't be transfused to a premature baby because they would not be able to handle that virus. So if you are O neg, we collect you in what we call a baby bag. We try to collect 2 to 3 of those per day to make sure that we have them on hand for infants that are born prematurely that need transfusions. So that's what we call an O neg donor, and that is even more rare than an O negative donor because they have to be O negative blood type and then negative for the common virus that we test for. So that is really special, and that's something that we also have to monitor our inventory of.
But O positive is just because it's so common, and almost anybody can take the O positive transfer.
I would encourage anyone that wanted to find out about the who was able to receive whose blood type to Google it, because it is pretty fascinating. I can probably get 9 of them right and get 1 wrong, and so I don't want to misspeak about that. But I know that everyone can take O negative. That O positive can be transfused to the positives, and beyond that, it's kind of nuanced. There's A positive, B positive, AB positive, AB negative. There's several different blood types, but O positive being the most common, it's more that anyone can take O positive, or more people are needing O positive blood because there's just more people out there with it.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with you, Kristine.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk with our guest, Kristine Scribner from Houchin Blood Bank. And so I wanted to ask you, I know just this week you were at the high school, and I know you always like to boast about the high schoolers.
I do. It's so easy to talk about how young people are different than the young people of decades before. But one wonderful bright spot to point to with our young generation is I think there's a real sense that they want to give back and do something good, but they're too young. They're too young to do this or to do that, but they're not too young at 16 and up to donate blood. And so we have a wonderful, robust high school program where we go to all the high schools in Kern County, and Burroughs High School is a great partner for us. We were there on Wednesday. We registered over 100 students, faculty, and staff, and collected 82 units of life-saving blood. And of those, more than 80 of them were new first-time donors. And so I'm just really proud of the fact that 30% of our blood supply comes from high schoolers, our high school program. And so when you consider, that there's plenty of things you could have opinions about the up-and-coming generation. One thing I would say about them in their defense is that they are civic-minded. They do have a real desire to give back, and so I'm just proud of that fact that they represent 30% of the blood supply. So that's awesome.
So let's talk about cases where a person cannot give blood, or is it called donor deferral maybe?
Yes, we have, like I mentioned before, at both China Lake and Burroughs High School, we registered a number of people, and then we collected a lower number than that. So someone can be deferred for a range of reasons, including areas of travel, medications they may be taking. There's some common ones. You're deferred for 12 months after your last tattoo or body piercing. You want to be well and healthy and off of any antibiotics. So there's just a range of things that are from your iron level to your travel that can defer you for a period of 1 day to a period of 12 months to an indefinite deferral for something that's more significant. Folks sometimes automatically defer themselves because they just think, oh, I have this or I have that or I took this medication, so I'm sure I can't donate. So I would encourage anyone that had an interest in donating to call and get pre-screened and just, give them kind of a rundown about some things they were maybe concerned about, maybe trips they went on, or maybe health issues that they have. But you can donate with on blood pressure medication. You can donate with diabetes. There's only about a dozen or so medications that defer you. So it's really not as there is a lot of criteria to meet, but I try to just encourage people to actually find out with their specific situation what their likelihood of being eligible is. And then when you come to donate, I get deferred from time to time because my iron will be low, or I think one time I had a low-grade fever. I didn't feel bad. I did end up getting sick the next day. And so they can kind of, flesh out things like that. So we just encourage people that have an interest in donating to go ahead and present, just with the knowledge of the basic criteria being that you want to be well and healthy, you want to be well hydrated, you want to have some protein on board.
Okay.
And so other than that, though, we'd love to see you.
Okay. And so how long does it take? Let's talk about that for someone who may have never
Sure.
given blood.
We recommend people allow between 45 minutes and an hour. It can be a little less than that, a little more than that, depending on the circumstances. If you're a regular donor, you come in and we're pretty light, we'll get you through real fast. If we have some, a couple people in front of you, that might take a few more minutes. If you've done a lot of travel recently, we have to document that. That might take a little bit of time. Or again, if you have a health situation you're working through and we're trying to determine whether you can donate, that also can take some time. So there is some variables involved, but for me, it usually takes me between 30 and 45 minutes because I'm a regular donor. I haven't ever done anything real thrilling that makes me an interesting screening where I've traveled places or I've had health situations. So for most people, it can be 30 to 45 minutes, but we encourage people to allow for 45 minutes or so.
I was kind of surprised. England is one of the places, if you've been to England, and that's
During
kind of surprising.
the mad cow disease scare.
Oh, that's right.
So if it's very
that's
recent,
right.
it's probably fine. But there is a deferral if you've been there for more than a certain period of time. I think if it's more than 3 or 5 months, even somewhat recently, they can defer you for that. If you were born there, that can be a deferral. And it is related to, a disease we don't have a process to screen for. And people have been known to present symptoms up to 30 years after their exposure. And so without an ability to test for something, we just have to apply a very liberal amount of time to make sure that their blood is safe, and in all likelihood it is, but we are just trying to err on the side of caution. And as a result, we have a near perfect blood supply, and you know that when you're receiving blood in a hospital, it's been thoroughly screened, and when in doubt, we ask people to wait. We can sometimes ask our medical director to review certain things, not the travel deferral, but if there's a health situation that we feel like we've followed all the criteria on, but there's still some room for interpretation or consideration, we have a medical director that we work with, a physician, who reviews all of our cases that have any nuances that need to be considered. So, but it doesn't take long. It's a little bit uncomfortable, I would say, but nothing extremely devastating. Just a little pinprick to get your iron, and then the needle to prick to get in your arm to donate, which takes between 5 and 10 minutes. That part's not 45 minutes of actually donating blood, and you can walk away knowing that you have saved maybe 1 life, maybe 3 lives. And in the instance of these trauma victims, it may take multiple people to sustain just one person.
It's in units or pints or how?
Yes, we call them units. They're approximately a pint.
Okay.
And we often tell people that 1 unit can help up to 3 patients because we may give your red cells to one patient, your platelets to another, and your plasma to another. But again, so recently in our consciousness is this shooting situation. And that might be a situation where it might take 30 or 40 or even 50 donors to sustain one person whose trauma was significant and they were bleeding out and they were needing multiple transfusions many times over.
Well, we're getting ready to take a break, but I want to mention you're in town here today at Norma and Drummond.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Until 2.
Until 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Well, then how's that going, by the way?
We had a great day so far.
Really?
The students are wonderful, very dedicated, so it's a great partnership.
Okay. So those are students there as well?
Yes, those are students. That's an alternative high school, and
okay.
it's more of a hybrid of some in classroom tutelage and some at home, more like a homeschool.
Well, that's the closest place to me, so that's where I usually go.
Perfect.
I didn't realize it was associated with the students, but
They do a great job to help out.
well, we'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk with our guest, Kristine Scribner with Houchin Blood Bank. And okay, so I wanted to ask you about partners.
Sure.
I know you work with a lot of people in the community. How does that work, or how can someone jump on that bandwagon?
You know, we have some really great partners that we've developed over really the last several decades. We've been coming to Ridgecrest for more than 50 years. Houchin Blood Bank is almost 65 years old and was founded by a doctor at that time. And we, very shortly after founding Houchin as a local blood bank for our county hospitals, we extended our visits out to Ridgecrest because there was a population out here of people that were willing to help our mission. And that has maintained strong over those many decades. It's changed a lot. I've seen funny pictures of these wooden tables and glass jars, and it was obviously the process has advanced profoundly, but the spirit of giving has always been out here in Ridgecrest, and so we've appreciated our partnership with this community. And we are out at the Carnegie Center the 3rd Wednesday of every month, and that's from noon to 6 p.m. So every month you can find us there. We call that our community drive because everyone's welcome, and it's really kind of a catch-all for folks that aren't quite sure where to go or when we're in town.
Right.
However, we also have partnerships with Toyota of Ridgecrest, with Ashley Furniture. We're starting our first drive with them this month. We go to the schools, Burroughs High School, Emmanuel High School, and Opportunities for Learning. And we partner with events in town. When we have, you know, Santa's Art Shop, we do a blood drive out there. And that's actually sponsored by iRock, one of the radio stations here in town. And so we have multiple partners that help us out by hosting blood drives. And if someone was interested, I would encourage them to reach out to us at Houchin. And, you know, in the summer, we're often looking for events to partner with, to do blood drives with. When the high school's out of session, we have a little more flexibility to book more drives. So we couldn't do it without Ridgecrest for sure.
So let's talk about some of your upcoming dates.
Yes, we have actually had, I think, maybe the most blood drives ever since I've been here this month in December, which we started out at China Lake on the 2nd, and we all discussed how well that went. We were back on Saturday for Santa's Art Shop. iRock sponsored that blood drive for us this last Saturday. We had Burroughs on Wednesday of this week. We're at Opportunities for Learning today. And then moving forward, we're going to be at the Carnegie Center on the 16th, which is next week on Wednesday from noon to 6 p.m. Beyond that will be the following week, Tuesday, we'll be at Toyota of Ridgecrest. We'll be there from 9 to 2. And then the following week, between Christmas and New Year's on December 30th, we're going to be at Ashley Furniture Home Store for our debut blood drive. There, they'll be hosting that from 11 to 5. So lots of opportunities to donate, very sincere need. This is time of year folks are busy. They've got demands for their time, and you know, flu season is probably not hit really yet, but it's coming. That will defer a lot of folks from being eligible to donate, and so we just want to encourage people that are well and healthy now to come on out and donate, particularly those that are O negative or O positive. We're experiencing a trend nationwide of needing those blood types and having a more comfortable supply of others.
Okay. So, by the way, I got called a couple weeks ago to come to Bakersfield to give blood platelets, which is a
Yes.
different process. And I was surprised they said that, I said, I can't do this here in Ridgecrest? And they said, no. How is that possible?
So that's called our TREMA program, where we collect multiple products of one component of your blood, and we're able to transfuse the rest of it back into you. So during certain situations, medical situations and therapies, patients are needing one specific component of your blood. And so what we do is we're able to collect double red cells from maybe an O negative donor, or maybe platelets and plasma from a donor who we have a comfortable supply of whole blood with that blood type, but we need platelets and plasma from them, so we can actually take 2 or 3 units of platelets and plasma and transfuse the rest back to you. So it's a conversation we have with our donors based on our inventory of that day, based on their health situation, the criteria that they meet. We determine what's healthy for them to donate to us and what we're in need of, which when we say what we're in need of, it's what the patients are in need of, because we are just facilitate the need for the patients. We provide all the blood products for the entire county. So we are a supply and demand mechanism that just facilitates the need based on what the patients are using. And more we're finding hospital protocols are requiring more platelets particularly, and less whole blood. We have more minimally invasive surgeries, which is wonderful. Patients are keeping more of their own blood, but as a result, you know, we're just trying to follow that trend and meet that need as it continues to evolve with medical advancements. We don't have a mobile TREMA process yet. We actually can be mobile, but there are some criteria in how we handle the blood, how we manage it, how we get it back to our location. It's a much shorter shelf life, only 4 days, where blood has a 42-day shelf life. So by the time you've tested that, you know, you're even in a more narrow window. So we do have a willingness out here for folks to help us with that. So we're aggressively considering how we can bring that to the outlying areas.
So that's actually done at the Houchin Blood Bank.
Yes,
it's not done at the, I guess when someone calls me, I'm thinking I'm going to go to a hospital, but you're going to go to Houchin Blood Bank.
To one of our fixed sites. We have 2
okay.
locations in Bakersfield, on Truxton
okay.
and on Bolt House. So you'll come to our building where we have the beds in there that you've seen for the regular whole blood donations, and you'll also see a row of TREMA chairs, and those chairs are a little bit augmented with a nice TV screen. You can watch movies, you can go online, because you're there a little longer for this process.
Do you get to eat popcorn?
Whatever you want.
Oh, really?
We fix you right up, we put a blanket on you, we just make sure you're comfy and cozy, and I've done it before, and I can recommend that it's a great thing to do.
Oh, but that's why I can't do it here at the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital,
it's a
because that's the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital and your Houchin Blood Bank.
And we provide the platelets to Ridgecrest Regional Hospital.
Oh,
but
sure.
it's the equipment is at our fixed locations in Bakersfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So, okay, got it. Well,
and as
that
we
makes
approach the
sense.
holidays, I just want to remind people that there are lots of wonderful ways for you to contribute your money, but this is a way to donate and give back and give a gift that is profound and powerful without opening your wallet. This is a way you can establish a holiday tradition with your family, 16 and up, bring your family in, donate blood, give the gift of life. And it's during this time when we're focused on giving and family and all that we have to be thankful for. I just encourage people to consider how donating blood can fit into that for them personally or for their family. And so this time of year, we just encourage people to take a look at where we're going to be and make an attempt to join our team of lifesavers and be a holiday hero.
Well, Kristine, I thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I really always enjoyed talking to you, and I know you're passionate about it. Thank you.
Thank you.